Shabbat Shalom. How are you guys doing? I hope that you guys are having a great Saturday or Friday, wherever you are located in the world. I hope that you are safe, that you are blessed and highly favored, and just basking in the mercies that we woke up with, the brand new mercies that have been bestowed upon us and that are new every morning. I want to talk a little bit about the Jay-Z situation, the lawsuit that's been filed against him, um, alleging that he and Diddy, I guess, molested, sexually abused, assaulted a minor many years ago. Um, as with any case, any legal case that is filed against a so-called black man who happens to have some money and who happens to be famous and have some influence, that whenever a legal case is filed against any black, so-called black man, immediately our people go and defend the black man, no matter what. And they do so because I guess they believe that in doing so, they are upholding the so-called black race. The mindset is, if we don't support our people, no matter what, the white man's gonna, overthrow us and get rid of us and exterminate us and get rid of all of the black millionaires, so-called black millionaires and billionaires. And so we think that the way that we uphold the so-called black race in America, and maybe here in Nigeria too, I'm in Nigeria, the way that we uphold the support black people who have allegations against them, in particular allegations of sexual crimes. It's misleading, it's misguided, and it's very nauseating and disgusting. And let me explain why. Okay. I understand the need for empowerment in the so-called black community. I understand the importance of black people, so-called black people, being unified. I am all for it. I am a staunch Pan-Africanist. I believe that so-called black people in America and people here on the continent need to lock arms. All over the world, people of Afro descent need to lock arms with one another and unite. I believe that. However, the only time I don't believe in uniting or supporting a so-called black person or any person of African descent is when they have committed crimes. And in particular, I'm very biased when it comes to crimes of a sexual nature. I myself have been molested and been raped as a child, and it was by law enforcement, so-called black law enforcement in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, many, many years ago. I was like 10, okay? And maybe because of my experiences, yes, it was traumatic. It took many years for me to actually be healed of that. However, what it developed, that whole experience, and what I saw in the system, the mass cover-up, I'm going to go a little bit into an explanation. It was a police officer. It's my uncle, my late uncle, who molested me, who took nude pictures of me as a 10-year-old. Okay, and I did not wait 20 years or 10 years. As a teenager, I called the police and I filed charges against my uncle. And yes, my family turned their backs on me because there's this thing in the black family in the black community, so-called black community, that you're supposed to take up for the black man no matter what he does. And people thought I was lying, and I made up these allegations against my late uncle. And it turns out that I wasn't lying. It turns out that, he had molested other cousins in my family. And he just had a very sexually deviant appetite and history. He eventually had a massive stroke that rendered him disabled, and he eventually died. And my family not only did not support me going to the police, but they went behind my back because I was a minor. The police department needed the permission of my parents to proceed with the whole case, to investigate. And my family opted to not investigate, to keep the family together, supposedly. So that whole experience, and I didn't find out about all this till many, many years later, like just a few years ago. I never knew why. They never investigated. They never proceeded with the case, the police department. I just figured it was corruption within the New Orleans Police Department, which it had a lot of corruption back then. But it was not. It was because my family, behind my back, chose to cover up the sexual crimes of my late uncle. And I noticed that is just a trend within the so-called black community. We always want to cover up these things. And when we cover up these things that do happen, by the way, our community, our children, our young people cannot be healed. We wonder why our young people and our children behave the way they do or misbehave the way they do. We'll wonder why they turn to a life of crime and drug addiction, and sometimes they turn to prostitution, and they become victims of human and sex trafficking. Part of the reason that happens so frequently and unpunished in our communities is because our people just have this sickness and this dysfunction of covering up crime, and sexual crimes in particular. No matter who it is, it could be in the church, out of the church, in the mosque, outside of the mosque. It could be in education. It could be in the government. It could be in the community. No matter what it is or who it is, we just tend to cover up these things. And we can't do that anymore. We can't do it. Even if they happen to have a few dollars and millionaire and billionaire status, and they happen to be famous. Huh? So what? Are we that hard up for heroes and icons and mentors and people to look up to within the so-called black community that we have to uphold criminals and perverts and pedophiles? Huh? Are we that lacking of proper male leadership within the so-called black community that we have to support corrupt, wicked men? So we could say that we have black millionaires in the industry. So that we can say, hey, we have a black billionaire. My thing with the brothers, and it's mostly brothers that always do this, our so-called black men get some money, they get some fame, they get some notoriety, they get some fortune, they get influence, and they really start to believe that they could get away with what white people get away with. And I don't understand that. That is the craziest thing to me. It's like, no, you cannot. I think that maybe it's a power thing with the so-called black man. The black man feels like, in order for me to really believe that I'm successful and that I'm influential and I'm powerful and I got it going on, like, all the other white men that do these things, is if I turn around and do the same thing that they do. Why do you feel the need to kidnap children and rape them? When you are a celebrity and you have millions of dollars at your disposal, and there are thousands of consenting adults that will with permission and consent, submit to your sexual desires. Anything you want to do, they'll do it for you. There's all these adults, these consenting adults, that will gladly fulfill your sexual desires. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Some of them are wrong when it involves children and minors, but I don't understand why it's necessary to defile children and minors. And the minors are 18 and under. I don't care what they look like, how developed they are. I don't care if their parents gave them to you and you were supposed to mentor them. No, 18 and under are off limits. And I would say 21 and under is off limits. Because the mind, the brain doesn't fully develop. The brain is still growing at 18 years old. So you need to leave these young people alone. Diddy, R. Kelly, Jay-Z, all of these people that's named in the lawsuits, having attended all these after parties by Diddy. If you just put a rule out there, and I don't know, so-called black men need to have a club, and they need to teach their young men, hey, anybody 25 and under is off limits. And when you notice and see that somebody is messing with somebody and they're not supposed to be, if they're committing a crime, don't cover it up. That's the bottom line. You can't get away with it. It's like you tried to test the system and see if you could get away with what Harvey Weinstein got away with, or seemingly got away with, or Jeffrey Epstein, or whomever. Ghislaine Maxwell and all these people. They got away with it, but they eventually, it caught up with them. Do you understand what's going on? If they're arresting and incarcerating so-called white people for these crimes, they're coming after you, black man. They're coming after you. And they're going to prosecute you, and they're going to put you in jail. And it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how famous and popular you are. It doesn't matter if you have a family or not. They're coming for you. The system is set up. It's always been set up so that it gets you. So if you know that this system is set up to get you, why would you try the system? Why would you feel like you could get away with these things? And furthermore, why do you have a desire to sleep with children? Do you not see that there's something wrong with you? Do you not see that there's something wrong with you if you feel the need to pee on a child and record it? It never occurred to you that that's sick behavior? Huh? If you have to kidnap somebody, that means grab somebody and detain them against their will and make them have all kind of weird sex with you and commit all kind of weird sexual things with you. Huh? You don't see anything wrong with that? You don't think that there's something wrong? And these are people with beautiful spouses that I'm sure will more than fulfill their sexual desires. But they still go out and do all these weird, evil, wicked things. And I know some people say that they do these things as some sort of initiation into the rich club, and in order for you to get this, to get that, you gotta go through these sexual rites. Well, we as a community need to have some sort of boundaries. We need to set up some boundaries within our community, the community of African descendants. And we need to say, I don't care what you try to pay me. I don't care what you promise me. I don't care what you offer. I'm not defiling children. I'm not committing crimes against my own people. Keep your money. This earth is ours anyway. We don't need to bow to the white man to become wealthy. We don't need to commit sexual crimes and crimes, period, just so that we could be prosperous and famous. We don't need to do that. And I don't think a lot of our people believe that. A lot of our people are so hungry for money and fame and popularity that we'll do anything, even harm our own people. We need to have a law within our community that says if we catch you sexually defiling anybody, children, women, Men, we're going to just do something to you. We're not going to cover up for you anymore. We're not going to say, hey, they're black, let them come off free because the white man got off. That foolery has to end. That's the only way it's going to stop. If we acquiesce to that mindset that the white people have, that money could buy our way out of criminal behavior, sexually deviant crimes and behavior, then we become just as wicked as they are. And do you guys not see that? Is that what you want? You want black powerful, so-called black powerful people to be sexually deviant? You want so-called black people with money and fame and fortune to turn out people? And it's okay as long as they have talent, as long as they can sing and make music, it doesn't matter. As long as they are about to own TV network stations and whatever, it doesn't matter what they do in private. We have to put our foot down, our collective feet down, and we have to set boundaries within our community. And say, hey, I was with you until you started messing with kids and minors. I was with you until you started raping people. Because rape is not even necessary. It's dumb. It's foolish. What kind of sexual fulfillment do you get out of taking sex from somebody against their will? Kidnapping them, drugging them, physically harming them to make them bow to you sexually. You got to be a sick individual. We can no longer excuse and cover up sickness and perversion within our communities just for the sake of having famous black people, rich black people, wealthy black people in any industry. Whether it's in religion, whether it's in sports, whether it's in Hollywood, Nollywood, education, politics, we cannot excuse or tolerate these behaviors within our community. We have to put our feet down. I hope what I'm saying to you makes sense. Because I'm really, really, really tired of it. As a 55-year-old grandmother, I'm tired of it. I have grandchildren out here. And if we continue to cover up sexually deviant behavior and perversions just so that we could say that we have prosperous black people within the community, we'll never be healed as a community. I hope you hear my heart. And I hope you hear the alarm that's going off spiritually. If we are Yasharel, and we are, if we are the chosen people, then we need to behave like it. We need to act like it. Yasharel does not rape and human traffic. Yasharel does not molest children and turn children out. Yasharel does not acquiesce to the desires of white people. We don't behave like they do. We're supposed to be better. We're supposed to behave better. We're supposed to treat our children better. We're supposed to protect our women and children. They don't protect their women and children. They just go grab all the guns and ammo, and they think that's protecting their women and children. And while they have all the gun and the ammo, guess what they do? They're perverting their own people. They're turning out their own children. We are better than that. And we need to demand that our men behave and protect us. And protect the vulnerable. And those who do these things need to be made examples of. You don't get my support because we have melanin. Once you commit sexual crimes, particularly sexually crimes against children, you don't get my support. And that's the stance we all need to take. And we don't need to sit there and try to grab straws and make legal arguments and say, no, this and that and the other, a statute of limitations. No. There's no statute of limitations when it comes to sexual crimes against children. None. Or they shouldn't be. And I was born to change that system. I was born to change laws. And I was born to see sexual perverters and predators be punished for their crimes, no matter what their race and ethnicity are. You guys be blessed in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shabbat Shalom.